Hey guys, it's Rick Brown with the Brown Home Group coming to you another edition of Inside the Scoop with the Brown Home Group. Again, this edition is Meet the Team Monday. Today is Monday, June 8th, and I am fortunate to be sitting next to another incredible agent on my team, Mr. Joe Southard. How are you, Mr. Joe?
Hey, everybody. I'm good. How you doing, Rick?
Good, good.
Awesome.
So, Joe, this is really going to be easygoing. Really what we
Okay.
want to do is just get to know you. I think, as I've said on other segments, that, I actually get to learn a little bit more about you that I didn't even know sometimes. However,
Right.
you and I kind of go way back.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to even go further way back.
Okay.
I want to get an idea of like where you grew up, where you're from, because I think you're an Ohio Buckeye fan. Is that no?
No, that's not me. That's my brother-in-law's from Ohio. So that my sister's whole family are huge Buckeye fans.
Okay, so go ahead and take us back. Where are you from?
Let's go back many moons ago. No, I was born in South Florida. I was originally born in Fort Lauderdale.
See, I didn't know that. I thought you were born in Ohio.
No, I was born in Fort Lauderdale,
That's
and
where you're a Miami fan.
that's why I'm a Dolphins fan. Yep.
Got
And
it.
of course, way back then when I was born, the only team in Florida was the Dolphins. So I became a Dolphins fan, and then but anyways, when I was 7, I moved up to North County, New Hampshire. My dad was originally from Portland, Maine, and had an opportunity up there, and we made a huge change as a family, and drove up, me and my dad, and my brother, and the big black German Shepherd in the front of a Ryder truck. That was a long drive, but
Yeah.
moved up to New Hampshire, and lived there from when I was 7 till I was about almost 15. And then moved back to Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, my parents split, and my dad and I packed up and moved back to Fort Lauderdale, and that's where I finished growing up. So finished high school down there, and so I kind of confused people because going back to what you said about me being a Dolphins fan, I'm a Dolphins fan, but then I'm a Red Sox fan, and it confuses people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a New England fan.
Yep. Yeah. First time I went to a Red Sox game, I was 9 at Fenway, and I was hooked. So between Fort Lauderdale and North County, New Hampshire is where I grew up.
Do you have how many siblings?
Well, I grew up. There was 5 of us. There's I got an older brother and sister from my dad's first marriage, and then me and my 2 little sisters. I have 2 younger sisters that I grew up with, as well, and then I have a sister out in San Diego, as well. So she's a dentist out in San Diego. So. There's actually 6 of us.
So she's in San Diego, and then you got a sister who's also in the real estate business, right?
Yeah, my sister Cheryl. She was part of getting me to actually take the jump into real estate. She started down here in Orlando, and then her husband had a great opportunity professionally up in Ohio, and they moved up to they live in Mason, Ohio, which is kind of between like Cincinnati and Dayton in that area up there. So.
Gotcha.
Yep. She works for Keller Williams as well.
Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So what moved you down to Orlando?
So when I was about 23, I had an opportunity. I moved from Fort Lauderdale to Tampa to go to school. And I got a music degree, or got a music scholarship to study at USF. And then when I was about 25, I had an opportunity at Disney. I auditioned for something out of Disney, and got the job. And I was commuting for a couple of years, just doing some shows out of Disney, and then eventually wanted to pursue more of that. So that's what brought me to Orlando, and I moved here full time.
Okay.
Been living here now almost 25 years, 24 years. So
you went to University of South Florida.
Yep.
As a performance major?
It was actually, I was studying music education. So I was an education major. Yep.
Thinking about teaching.
Yeah, I was thinking about teaching, and and I've taught for years in band programs and drum and bugle corps, teaching percussion, and then I started working at Disney, and everything I was going to school for. It's one of my biggest regrets. Everything I was going to school for, I was doing, and I never actually finished. And it was a bummer for me. I really think about it. If I could go back, I probably would try to finish, because that's just, I was close. I was, maybe a year, just over a year away, year and a half away, and I never got it done, and that was one of my biggest regrets. But it's okay. I've enjoyed everything I've done. So
you came to Orlando, you auditioned, and so would you say your first job was Disney, or did you have a first job?
Oh no, I actually started working when I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, funny enough, I grew up working in restaurants. My parents own a restaurant in up in North Conway, New Hampshire, called Sandwich World, and yeah, and what'd you say?
Did it go up against Subway?
Yeah, exactly. No, it was a great little restaurant, and my dad would, believe it or not, my dad would give me the keys in the morning and say, "Hey, ride your bike down to the store, get it opened, turn everything on, and I'll be there in a little bit." And I learned, I did a lot of prep cooking, bussing dishes, things like that. I was 11, 12 years old, so
Wow. Amazing.
yeah, and I loved it. And then they eventually got rid of the restaurant. Like they had it for a couple of years, and then I just stayed in restaurants. I mean, my next job was working at Howard Johnson's washing dishes, and I was probably 13. So I liked having a little bit of my own money, so I didn't stop working.
You were able to work at 13?
Yeah, it was New Hampshire, and it was the early 80s, so it wasn't really like it is now.
Wow. So then now we speed forward. Now you audition at Disney, and what does that look like? Your performer?
Yeah, so in '95, I had an opportunity to audition as a group out at Epcot called the Janitors, and they, 3 guys drumming on garbage cans. That's how it started. It actually started back in California, and they adapted it. Same concept, a little bit different here in Orlando, and had an opportunity to go with them, to audition for them, and got hired as a sub for the group, and was out there playing, just here and there, and ended up working a lot. And that actually led in the following year, I got an offer to go to Japan for a year. So it led to me going out of the country for almost a year to Tokyo and spending a year. I spent a lot of time out there, which was a phenomenal experience. I mean, I had a great time. And
you were what, like 24?
I was 25 when I went out there.
Wow, that's awesome.
And my 26th birthday was out there, and I spent a long time out there. And then once I came back, that's when I started working on moving to Orlando, and moved out here, started a family, did all that stuff here in Orlando, and made it my home.
So when you were at, because I know that your background, I know a lot more about it, but based on, you were a Blue Devil, right?
Yeah, Marching
Huh? You weren't a devil, but you were a Blue Devil in drum corps.
Yeah, drum bugle corps, yep.
And so, I mean, you're a beast on the drums.
I hold my own. I think I do okay.
I know that just from, obviously, we go way back. I know that.
I appreciate that.
One time, actually auditioned with what everybody knows to be called the Blue Man Group.
Yeah, that was a fun experience.
You having a beer on your driveway, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But
yeah,
and you told me how you had to audition, but you have to share how you have to audition to be part of the Blue Man Group. It's not drumming, is it?
It's a lot more about acting. The drumming was a benefit. They'd rather hire actors. Well, from what I understand, anyways. And mind you, I'm just speaking from what I've seen and heard is, they prefer now to hire actors that have a little bit of a background and can drum. You know what I mean? But they've always had a couple of drummers that I think they would always bring someone in who can drum with a little bit of an acting background. So the first time I auditioned, I could drum. I didn't have any acting background at all. And then I worked on that. And the second time I auditioned, I went through the drumming audition. And then then I had to do an acting audition, and, they had me crawling around the floor acting like a dog. You had to kind of just have no fear, and you just had to go for it. It was actually a lot of fun. I just had a lot of fun with it. And then I
you told me they said, give us a facial expression of a cowboy. And you're like, what?
Yeah, well, what they did was they gave us expressions like, they said everything had to be, I'll show your emotion through your eyes.
Right.
It was like, hey, they gave me questions like, what is that? Or, or one of the funny ones was, excuse the language, but was like, oh shit. And you had to show this, excuse my language, but you had to show this through your eyes. And that was pretty interesting. I spent a lot of time in the mirror just looking at myself, trying to create expressions without this, just all right here. So it was all eyes. And so, we went through that process, and it was pretty neat, man. And they sent me to New York for almost a week. And went through a workshop up there with 4 other guys, and learned part of the show. And
It was a great,
I say it again.
great opportunity.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I mean, I did really well in the audition, and they had a lot of great things to say. It was, there's a look, and I guess I just didn't have the look from what they said when I had to. I was all bald and blue, and it didn't work out. But I tell you what, I would go through the whole process again, because it was a really great learning tool for me as an entertainer, as a professional, and just even in life, it was a great experience. So yeah.
You and I have a history here where you moved to Orlando, and then you got married, and have 2 amazing children, right? Alex and Andrew.
Yep, thank you.
Andrew, congratulations. I know just graduated from Creek High School.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He's following in Daddy's footsteps in some facet, right? You think he's actually going to be better than you, but we won't tell him that unless he sees this video. He was drum captain, and he got one of the 5. What are the distinctions the highest distinction at Timber Creek for the marching, right? For the band program.
For the band program, and it was the Directors Award. I think is what it's called. Yeah. So that was really cool.
Yeah, we have a history there because all my 4 kids also went to Timber Creek, graduated, all marched at Timber Creek. But so you moved to Orlando, and I know we're kind of dragging out here, but got a story. So I met you in the driveway with my oldest daughter at the time.
Yes.
Who was 16.
Mm-hmm.
You were drumming in your garage. Had you just moved in? I think those guys were there to help you move, right?
Yeah, I was teaching a drum corps out of Tampa at the time, and we needed to move. And some of the older students, the kids can do it. They're up to 21, 22 years old, and there was a handful of the older kids. And, I told them all, they all have dues to pay every year it's a youth activity. You have fees and dues you got to pay. And I told them all that I would give them a little bit of money towards their dues if they came and helped me move. So I had about 8 to 10 guys that came over from Tampa actually and helped us move. And and they were all sitting on top of I was inside, they were all sitting on top of the truck drumming. When you guys pulled up, and then I came outside and met you, and I had met your wife and daughter earlier in the day, and then I got to meet you, and that was a funny story.
Yeah, that was a funny story because my daughter was only 16. Your guys were 20 something and
18, 19, 20.
So yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And they were having conversations.
20 years now, right?
Yeah, it's almost 20 years. Yep.
So the last job for real estate obviously has been drumming, and you still are a full-time performer.
Yeah, I'm still out there. Well, it's more part-time, now, but just trying to transition full-time into real estate. I love playing, and I always want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm out there, a couple days a week, and still working with a couple different groups out there. So I still like to keep that. It's just part of who I am, so.
Well, my background too is, music, and
right.
I'm a singer, and I performed out at Disney and all over. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to meet some famous people and just people in general. And it's always going to be in your blood. So
yeah,
I get it. But so far as we kind of jumped around here, what was your first car?
My first car? So I didn't get my first car. I got my first car when I was 17, and it was one of those situations where we didn't have it, so I had to figure it out. And I bought a yellow, very bumblebee-ish yellow '76 Camaro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and my brother had a little 350 small block engine in it, and my brother was a mechanic, and so I got to work on that a lot with him. And I was never, a mechanic or anything like that, but it was fun because it was mine. And, and I was in a situation where, I had a family friend who loaned me the money, and I had to pay him back religiously every month, pay off the loan, or he owned the car.
Right.
So it was, and my dad made sure of it. So it was a great opportunity. I love that car. It was a great car. It got me through till I had that car for about 5 years. And then when I was getting ready to go to Tampa, I had to get something different because I was going to be going back and forth because, at some point, an old car only takes you so far.
So you have sounds like you had a great childhood. Do you have a favorite memory growing up?
Yeah, growing up, I really enjoyed, a couple things I enjoyed. I enjoyed just the fact that when we were kids, I'd say bye to my mom in the morning and I would go hang out with my friends and we'd be running around the woods and, you had no fear. You were having fun. You were doing things. It would just be back by dark.
Right.
And if you want some lunch, come home. And that, that's just a great part of growing up that unfortunately I don't, my kids never really got to experience. But growing up, there was, I had a great memory. My dad, we moved to New Hampshire. He was a bread man, and he worked for a bread company and he'd get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning and head out on his bread route. And I used to love to go to work with him. Like I would get up and he'd put me to work and and I'd have to, we'd hit all these restaurants and stores and I'm tell you what, when you're a kid and you're at work with your dad, these people really take care of you. We'd stop at the Dunkin' Donuts and I always had a dozen donuts when I left and they were gone by the end of the day. but yeah, I would spend the day with him and I'd work and then he'd pay me $5 at the end of the day and we'd stop at, the local watering hole at the end of the day, which was his thing. And I'd play pinball or asteroids or Space Invaders and I'd whoop up on all his friends and, he jokingly wager a beer. He's like, if you beat my son, I'll buy you one. If he beats you, you buy me one. And when I was with my dad, he never had to buy a beer.
Wow, that's awesome. So,
yeah, it was fun.
To say the least, you were very close to your father.
Yeah, I was very close to my everybody in my family. We were all really close.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Yeah. So, is there something that you'd want to maybe share with us that no one else knows about you, even me?
Well, shoot.
You can't share. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's things I might not share. No.
I get it. It's recorded.
That's a hard question because I'm pretty transparent. It depends on which world I'm in. When I'm in the real estate world and I'm dealing with clients, a lot of people don't realize that I've been a professional entertainer for 25 years. But one thing, even a lot of my friends see me as a drummer and this and that, but I used to do a lot of improv. Like whose line is it anyway?
All right.
Stuff. Like I went through the whole thing. That's when I wanted to do the Blue Man thing. That's when I signed up and I did all the improv classes at SAC and got to do some performing with that. And that was always a lot of fun. It really brings you out of your shell.
You told me this is something that you thought we should do as a team.
I think it'd be really great. It's a great team builder. Yeah.
Obviously there are people on our team that would be very uncomfortable with that. I honestly don't think I would, but I think there's some people on our team that might feel a little out of their sorts when it comes to improving.
But that's what it's all about.
Whose line is it anyway? But I do feel uncomfortable when they give a subject or something or a segment and go, and you got to come up with it. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is that's what people don't understand. It's not, you don't really have, if you're trying to be funny, it's not going to be funny. So with improv, the thing about it is, and the way they start you is, there's like 4 levels of it at SAC where I took it anyways. And the first one is just getting comfortable. And they put you in a circle and you go around and they just have these little games that you play. And
but if you're not comfortable being around people, right? People you don't know, and it takes a different type of personality. And I know we could probably spend an hour talking about this.
Yeah. No, you're right. But it's good for people that can't come out of their shell because it's just fun and it's completely natural. And you don't try to be funny or try to do anything. It just whatever comes out. And when there's mistakes made, that's what's funny.
Right.
So yeah.
So tell me, how did you get into real estate?
Well, I contemplated doing it about 10 years ago, maybe about 10, 11 years ago, and had back in, I want to say maybe 2001. Not 2001, 2009, 10, and had a conversation with a friend of mine who had gotten in real estate, but he'd been in about 10 years, really successful. And he kind of told me maybe it wasn't the right time to do it. And, I had young kids at the time, and just based on all that, I kind of just decided not to do it because I had people tell me that they thought I'd be great at it, and I bartended for years and I could talk to people and I really just enjoy conversations with people and meeting with people. And then about maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, my sister got involved in real estate and kind of opened the door for conversation again. And then I was like, I I've had a couple jobs where I worked in an office. I was in sales, sold copiers, and that was a job I did, and it was Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, basically grind, and it wasn't anything I wanted. And the good thing about real estate that I liked was there was just flexibility in it. You know what I mean? You got to work, but there's flexibility in it. And so talking to my sister, she just kept telling me, "You'd be great at this. You'd be great at this." And so I decided to see. I said, "What the heck? Let's see what happens." And I took the class and enjoyed it, and then just passed my exam. I got lucky. I passed it on the first time, which I know a lot of people don't do. It's a really hard exam, but they got lucky. and
you and my wife stuff.
Say it again?
I said you suck.
Whatever.
Didn't hear it. No, it took me more than 1, 2, 3.
It takes most people more than one. That's why I say I think I got lucky. I was like, let me try it. And so then I got my license and so let's see what happens, and that was about 3 years ago. So.
Wow. Okay. And what's been the best thing about being a realtor? And if you had to go back, what would you do differently?
Well, to start, as far as being a realtor, I mean, for me, I love helping people. When just the joy on people's faces when you hand them the keys to their new home, it's a stressful process at times. There's a lot of anxiety clients have, and of course I feel that's my job to take it off their plate, and I let them know, let me handle all the stress,
Right.
And then when the whole thing's said and done, and especially when it's a first time home buyer, a young couple getting ready to start a family, and or just someone who's never been able to buy, and they all of a sudden it's like, hey, now I have my first home or something. It's just the joy on their face is amazing, and that to me, that's why you have your bad days and your good days, and those are typically great days, And I also love the flexibility in the schedule. Like I was saying before, you have to work. You have to treat it like a job. You have things you have to do every day if you want to be successful. I mean, if this is just a part-time thing for you and you want to sell 2 or 3 houses a year, then that's different. You know what I mean? And you can just go through people, somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a house, you help them out. But if you really want to be a successful realtor and be a career, you got to work. But what I like about it is the flexibility in the schedule, because even though you're doing that, there's nights, there's weekends, we do something every day of the week. But my kids got something going on, or I got a family event, or I have something I want to do, I can schedule around that, which is fantastic because, 8 to 6 Monday through Friday, and there's no flexibility. And I miss stuff from my kids here and there through that. And I hated that. So that's another thing I like about it. As far as something I do differently, I think to myself that I wish I would have started sooner. But then I tell myself, well, maybe that wouldn't have been a great thing. Everything happens for a reason, because maybe if I did start sooner, I might have not kept going. I might have quit at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as something I wish once I got into it that I wish I would have done is just dive in. I'm not afraid to if I don't know how to swim, I'll jump in the deep end, and I know I'll get to the side of the pool eventually. You know what I mean? And that's I'm like that with most things, but in this world, with helping people with one of the largest purchases they're ever going to have, I had a little anxiety about going in uneducated. But I really wish about a year sooner, before I got together with you, that I would have maybe found a mentor that I felt like I could talk to. That's something I didn't really pursue, and have someone that could have had my back, and I would have felt more comfortable just diving in, because you can't wait till you know everything. You can't wait till you're completely organized. You just have to go and learn. And I've learned in real estate that learning on the job is how you really learn. When you experience things, that's how you really learn. And I just wish I would have had the courage to just go, instead of trying to take those small steps until I felt comfortable just going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if someone is watching, thinking about getting into real estate, is that what you would tell them?
Yeah, I would say, hey, you know what? Get your, say it again?
Just dive into the deep end and go.
Yeah, I would say, get your license, get what you need to do, take a deep breath. Make sure, it depends on where you're at. Make sure you got some kind of support system. Most places will have some kind of mentor or team leader that you can talk with, and just so you have somewhere to go, and then just start reading, start talking to people. Somebody wants a home, just go. And, and in the beginning, you typically, a lot of it's through your sphere, through people So they're going to know who you are, and just let them know, hey, I'm new to this, but I know what I'm doing. I've got the real estate education, and I've got a team. I got people behind me that I can reach out to if there's something I'm not sure about. So, just go forward. I hesitated not to say much to people when I was new because I didn't want to think I didn't know what I was doing. But in hindsight, man, it's just, I would have just jumped in and gone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, anybody watching today, if you're interested in getting into real estate, you want to talk to somebody about real estate, Joe's a great story there, and definitely somebody who can help you. We're going to put the information into the bottom link of this segment, so you can reach out to him if you're interested. And obviously, to learn a little bit more about Keller Williams, you can come to one of our career nights, and Joe can get that information for you if that's something you're interested in. Well, Joe, the last question I have is, obviously with COVID-19 and everything going on, and just trying to see how you're coping with it. And I know some agents out there are individual agents, but as I know, you're part of the Brown Home Group. It's been, for me, it's been a blessing, I feel. What are your thoughts?
As far as the COVID-19 thing?
Being on a team versus single agent.
Oh yeah, being on a. Well, I'm gonna. I've been part of the Brown Home Group now for a year and a half. And this last year and a half, even like with, the COVID thing now, and I had a couple of, personal hurdles last year, and we all deal with certain things in our life, and a team's not for everybody, but the team has been the best thing for me. I got a family of people that I work with, and we've all become really, really close. We got a great group of people, and there was times where I was just like not motivated to do anything. But the one thing is, especially because of my relationship with you, Rick, is there's another level of accountability for me personally. You've got to be self-motivated to be a realtor. You've got to be willing to work. And the one thing, but we all have our days where you just get up and you don't want to do anything. We all have those days. And the one thing about being on a team is that accountability where it's like, or if I'm having a day, I can make a phone call. I just give you a call, have a conversation, start talking about real estate, getting the blood flowing, and then I go. And so being part of a team, I want to say, has really kept me moving forward, whereas I could have become stagnant. And even through this COVID thing, we've had our team meetings every day. It's kept me on track to keep the ball moving, because it would have been really easy 2-3 months ago to just sit back and wait for this to end, Yeah. So it's been a blessing for me.
Being at Disney, you've struggled. Obviously Disney's not opening right now. So,
right.
But at least you've got purpose with the real estate stuff.
Of course. Yeah.
And you definitely have a huge supporting cast behind you with, myself and Jeannie, and then Maria, and then David, and then the rest of the entire team. So it's been a blessing having you on the team. I'm hoping that I'm not saying goodbye. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But I'm thrilled that you're on the team. You add a lot of positivity on the team. Obviously, you be in check. I think we're the closest in age, or maybe Janine, and Maria. But anyway, we've known each other the longest of anybody that I have on the team. So, being a real estate agent, as we all know, is a lot about lead generating, accountability, activities. You've kind of hit on all those. So if you are interested in being in real estate, and that's something that you want to know, like what it's going to take, Joe would be a great person to reach out. So Joe,
have a conversation.
I appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
You weren't nervous. Obviously, you're just not that type of person. You have no problem with a camera.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I'm going to give you the last word. So is there anything you want to say to the audience out there, and whatever that looks like, any inspiring words?
Yeah, I didn't expect to have to give any inspiring words on how inspiring I am, but no, these are just, we're living in some tough times right now. There's a lot going on in our world, man. There's a lot to be anxious about or angry about, or, and what I'm trying to do, and, for what it's worth, is trying to find happy stuff as well to balance it out. Everything, as they say, this too shall pass. All of this stuff's we're gonna get through it. It's human nature. we're gonna rally. We're gonna get through all this stuff, but just keep your head up, stay positive, try to find glass half full, don't live glass half empty, and hopefully we'll all come up the end of the tunnel with a smile on our face and keep moving forward. So
I love it.
that's kind of my perspective on it. So
Well, Joe, thanks so much for being on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Everything you do for us on the team, and yeah, I know we got another 6 months for the rest of this year, and I know you're gonna hit it out of the park. So
Looking forward to it.
all right. Talk to you soon. Thank you, guys. Hey, next week will be another Meet the Team Monday, where we're going to actually be having a conversation with David Hickey. David Hickey has actually been on the team the longest of anybody, but definitely will have a lot to say. So I hope you guys will tune in next Monday, this time for another edition of Inside the Scoop with the Brown Home Group. Take care, and as always, make it a great day.
Bye-bye.